Hi, it's ShortBloom. You know, the racist me gunner that doesn't worship a god? Yeah, that's ShortBloom. I want to address the video that I made back in September of last year. Damn, it's been a while. But basically go into why I made it, what the actual intent was, and where I went wrong, as well as go into more detail on my thoughts about the accusations of racism and my cancellation as a whole. Once this video is up and gains some traction, I can finally go up to the people who claim that I don't know what I'm talking about and call them ignorant for not even having done basic research. Granted, I can already do that since the Absolucian video came out, and it was not even 2 days after the controversy started. That video still only has like 500, 600 views. But since that one is an hour long, I can understand people not wanting to sit through all that. Either way, the link is in the description if you're interested. And a big thanks to Absolucian for reaching out to me and offering me a space to talk, even if we disagree. I will also have links to some other related tweets and files in the description as well. And I ask that those of you who hate me to please watch as much of the videos as you can before forming your own opinion. I promise you I'm more reasonable than what I originally came off as. Maybe I'm a little autistic though. First off, if you actually thought I was going to apologize for my racist comments, you got got. To this day, I still see no reason to apologize. Who did I insult by saying what I said? If you look at the original screenshots and the context surrounding them, you'd see that I was clearly making a joke. Not only that, but I wasn't directing the N-word towards anybody specifically. Most of the time, I was simply referring to the word itself, so I have nobody to apologize to in the first place, because there was nobody that I wronged. Of course, you could argue that the people who saw the Yusei post on Twitter were offended and I should apologize to them, but the vast majority of the people who saw the tweet and felt offended were either getting offended in someone else's stead, or offended not because of personal experience or trauma, but because of their polarization towards a specific political sect. The N-word to them is like the marking of a sinner in Pride and Prejudice. Even if you use the argument that I should apologize because what I said was wrong, even if I didn't wrong anybody, then how is it wrong? Is it wrong simply because it was used against black people in the past? I'd argue that that's irrelevant in the current context. I'll go more into this later, but the modern day context of the N-word is far more powerful to everyone who says that than the context back in the era of segregation. Many words that were used back then to insult groups of people have largely been forgotten, so why did this one get to stick around for as long as it did? Oh, and fair warning, I've been gracious to you Twitter tards for long enough. I'm going to use the hard R whenever I refer to the N-word from this point forward to show that I'm not scared of your petty threats and rhetoric. And that's starting... To address the video itself, I want to say that I made a mistake. And no, it isn't because I didn't apologize in the video itself. It was more so in how I communicated the message that I wanted to get across. The original concept of the video was that I wanted to make a smash montage to spite the people who accused me of racism. I planned on pumping the video full of memes and making it as blatantly unapologetic as possible. But in the back of my head, I also wanted to make a discussion video. So I figured, why not blend the two together? And as you know, it backfired pretty badly. The other error I made was in how I articulated the argument at the end of the montage. Funny story, the original footage for the argument I was making got lost because the audio would desync from the video footage so badly that I was forced to scrap it. And I didn't have it written down, so I was forced to try and remake it from scratch. So the little speech you got was actually one that I tried to recreate from memory. Obviously, that meant that a lot of things were going to be lost in translation. So here's what I meant to say. To all the people who called me racist, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. In other words, you're all fucking hypocrites. In the same way as the Catholics in the medieval ages, or boomers on the right back in the 80s and 90s, you believe yourselves to be morally superior to anybody that you disagree with. And that said superiority gives you the right to treat your opponents as if they are subhuman. You hold your ideology as the only viable option for being a good person. whatever that means. Your cancellations are the Catholic excommunications. For those of you who don't know, during the time before the Second Great Schism of Christianity, so before Martin Luther, the Catholics in Eastern Europe essentially held an ideological monopoly over the people who lived there. One of the ways they exercised this power was through excommunication. Essentially, if you questioned the clergy's actions or the faith as a whole, you would face a series of punishments, the most severe of which being excommunication. This meant that you'd be banned from participating in communion or other activities that would save you from eternal damnation. But that wasn't all. Because the church essentially was the state, in other words, the government, this would also mean that you would be barred from common society and the people would view you as a sinner for essentially the rest of your life. This is how the church would exercise control over the people, through fear of losing access to salvation and society. Even kings weren't immune. Does any of this sound familiar? If the answer to you is no, then you're likely a part of it. I don't believe cancel culture is real. If you did something awful recently, people can justifiably not trust you and dislike you. Okay, here's the thing, smartass. When people are referring to cancel culture, they aren't referring to what the person did. They're referring to Twitter's reaction to what the person did. They're talking about the attempts to get them kicked out of the scene, the harassment, the doxing, and the sicking of a fanatical fanbase at a singular target. The problem is the townsfolk getting egged on to grab their pitchforks and come after the witch. When did that ever solve anything? The most it does is make the problem worse. When the video I made gained traction, and I put my Discord in the description, I'd get DMs from 14 and 15-year-olds telling me how much better they are than me. One even told me that 99% of the world agreed with his point of view, and then proceeded to tell me that I was in an echo chamber. How does that contribute to anything? The reason why I left my Discord info up was so I could build bridges, and luckily I did make a few friends. Thank you to all of you. You know who you are. But most of the arguments that people were making were very circular in nature, and I'm so sorry that I don't give screenshots for some of them. I've tried my best, but some of them are just simply lost to time. One guy told me that the reason why he stopped using the nigger word as a joke was because he was threatened with violence by a bunch of black guys. No joke. I don't know about you, but if someone threatens to beat you over edgy jokes, I'd say that the people threatening to beat you are in the wrong. Not only that, but it goes to show who really has the power in that sort of situation. It's not about race, it's about culture. I asked another guy, if any company can ban me for saying things they don't like, are electricity and water companies entitled to take away their services for the same reason? Because it was on the topic of people losing their jobs over cancellations. You want to know what his answer was? Yes, that's life. Oh my god, these people! But I'm getting sidetracked. The whole point is that the Smash community and these lefties as a whole pretend as if they're the underdogs, fighting for the good of the oppressed minorities, and yet they go out of their way to attack people because they have the moral authority. Tell me, who has the power again? I'm not playing your stupid game. I'd rather watch a community collapse in on itself because the communists over at Panda Global decided to seize the means of Nintendo's production. You guys remember that Twitlonger by Tamim? The one where he describes a Discord call between him, Lima, Samsora, and Captain Zack? According to Tamim, Samsora wanted Zack to write his Twitlonger on Nairo because he wanted Nairo out of the picture. With that, he'd have less competition. Now, why would a Smash Bros player make a move like that? Isn't the Smash scene all about, well, playing Smash and being the best? You know, the video game? Why would Samsora act like a king if he's simply a top player? Rhetorical question. That's exactly what a lot of these top players see themselves as. They see themselves as kings and their viewers as loyal subjects. This includes ESAM, MVD, and every top player or figurehead who feels compelled to make a statement of what side they are on in every little controversy. They don't do it because they actually care. They do it because it gives them engagement. They benefit from the numbers. Their statistics are what give them their authority. Their followers, their subs on Twitch, their donations, it's all for the sake of feeding their egoism. Does this mean they deserve to get cancelled? No. Unlike a lot of you, I don't think that having qualities I disagree with is enough to make you an irredeemable asshole. But this does make them dishonest people, in the sense that they may do good deeds, they may act like fine people sometimes. But then you look at what they say elsewhere, and it's like night and day. And it's not even like they keep it hidden, it's all out there for everyone to see. The thing about truly dishonest people is that their lies are never truly hidden. It's all out there for you to see. All you have to do is put the pieces together. The reason why I'm bringing this up is simple. You can look back at my past, and you'll find that these were my beliefs the entire time. Never did I lie, even when I could benefit me. My reasoning for what I said lies in simply either wanting to make people laugh, or wanting to start some sort of discussion. Whether you personally found that funny or not aside, that is my true motivation. But the lie is the thing that people buy into, not because of any real sense of justice or altruism, but because it seems like those things have already been spoon-fed to you. But the thing is that the truth isn't that far off. All it takes is expanding your horizons. That's why USAM sends his fans after people whenever they get accused of anything. 3 seconds of research and off to grandstand. After all, what does he stand to gain from a lie? Research and polls done by the Brunel University in London have found that narcissism is the strongest indicator of activity and positive reception on the platform. They also found that compared to other types of tweets, such as diet and fitness, everyday life, and personal events, intellectual topics were much more likely to receive likes and retweets. By the way, this is why getting your information from Twitter is an awful idea, because even if the information is true, you'll likely be getting it from a dishonest source who will bend the truth for their own gain. This would explain a variety of things. Why politicians tend to get so many likes and retweets on the platform, why many large YouTubers tend to be quite active on the platform, and most relevant to my argument, why Twitter is a terrible place for communities to gather and share information. If narcissists have a tendency to manipulate information for the sake of coming off as likable as possible, and if narcissists are more likely to be very active on Twitter, then it stands to reason that narcissists are more than likely to subvert an otherwise good conversation for their own benefit. This is shown pretty blatantly by people in the Smash community who became popular on Twitter not because of their skill, but because of their activism. And these people are only well known because of the existence of Twitter. Without it, they would be nothing, and many of them likely wouldn't even be playing Smash at all. These people poison the well more than anyone else. It's crazy to me how quickly people shift an opinion the moment they spend time on Twitter. Call me stupid, but I think it's because of the sheer amount of streaming and rage baiting that narcissists are prone to doing, even by accident. But there's still one issue. How do narcissists like Gisam tweet about intellectual topics for maximum engagement if they can't even be bothered to do basic research? Well, the answer is actually quite simple. It's called the politician's maneuver. Say something that sounds smart, but if you pick it apart, it turns out they're saying nothing at all. Most people on Twitter won't bother to do the research if a seemingly authoritative figure just tells them what to think anyway. And there will likely be other narcissists in the replies who will egg the leader on for their own gain, thus artificially increasing their credibility. This sort of shit is infesting Twitter and Smash. Not only the superiority posting, but also the inferiority posting to complement it nicely, and then the mission statement, and then right back to the superiority posting. It's the way of life for those who seek power through Twitter. I thought it was about racism too for a while, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized that people calling me racist is a non sequitur. I don't actually believe myself to be superior to anyone, not because of my personality, or my skin color, or my ethnicity, or my morality. I simply am, and everybody else simply is. Referring back to the arguments I had on Discord, most of them essentially went in circles, and it all circled back to one phrase: Just don't say it. I always wondered how it was that I could repeatedly explain my viewpoint and reasoning for what I did to somebody, and how it did no harm to anyone, and still have them circle back to that phrase, just don't say it. And then it hit me. It's not that the nigger word is racist, it's that the word is taboo. And why is it taboo? Because of culture. It's because we're constantly told that it's a bad word, that it has had a bad past and therefore should not be said. Not because of any real trauma or personal history. And this is enforced through the threats of cancellation and abandonment. I can bet that any wave of panic that washes over a person upon hearing the nigger word isn't actually because that's racist, but because they fear for the consequences if other people found out that they even heard such a thing. The word has that much emotional power over people. I had this realization when I got into an argument with my mother over that very same thing, but instead, it was about fuck. Most people would say that saying bitch or fuck is pretty tame, but she made the same arguments to me about those words that other people online did to me about nigger. The reason doesn't matter, just saying it is wrong. Why would you say that instead of anything else? The answer to those questions, by the way, is that those factors are irrelevant. To her, bitch and fuck hold that power over her, but to others, it's nigger. Don't let these things take over you. Saying a word isn't wrong by itself. Coming to the conclusion that a word is bad is almost never because of genuine personal experience, but because it is pushed onto you by others. It's not about race, it's about culture. Now, I'm not going to say that nigger doesn't have a past, that would be silly of me. But my argument is that its bad past doesn't justify this sort of reaction to making a joke using nigger. Save that outrage for the people who have personally wronged you. Not the random guy on Discord who made a joke you don't approve of. If you saw the original screenshots on Twitter with me joking with the nigger word and all that, what do you think the most sane reaction would be? If your answer was to put me down on a list of people who, among other things, faked their deaths, abused their girlfriends, and assaulted people, then you'd be wrong. But that's what happened anyways. I don't know how anybody thinks saying nigger and pedophilia are on the same level of severity, but you do you. This list doesn't mean I'm banned from every single tournament under the sun, just the really important ones that are run by VGPC or Team Liquid. So like all the majors, both online and offline. Sick. This list is essentially a compilation of bans across every region. If you click on a link, it leads you to the post or reason they were banned. Some of these links are dead or outdated or just linked to a Smash Data page, but it's whatever. But this list is exactly where the problem lies for a lot of would-be players. Some people here were falsely accused and promptly plopped on this list because nobody vets this shit, and now they're robbed from some of their biggest opportunities. Now, to this list's credit, there is a changelog at the bottom of the doc that mentions who was added and removed from the list, so people who were put on the list do have a chance for redemption. And they even have a list divided into sections that helps parse what's happening, who was banned, why, and who was added and removed. Which is cool, but there's still a ton of issues. For starters, if there's a small player who gets accused of some heinous shit, they're extremely likely to get added to the list, regardless of the validity of the original claim. I've talked to people who came forward to me about this. It's good that people are being removed, but humor me this. Why the fuck were they added on that list in the first place? I'm not saying you're not allowed to make mistakes, but some of these reasonings are just beyond silly. Like White Nova, who got banned for making people uncomfortable and making rape and race-related jokes. Now, I'm not for deliberately making people uncomfortable just for the hell of it, but really? A ban? Was he going to shoot up a local event because of his jokes? I know private companies can ban whoever they want, but I can still say it's beyond retarded to ban people for making edgy jokes. And let's not forget La Luna, who is falsely accused of all kinds of things. He made an entire video detailing everything from his perspective, practically disproving the claims. And he's still on that list. It's absurd. And this is an aside, but hello to this guy. I don't care about the facts. I just want you to apologize for being problematic. For fuck's sake, personal issues like this shouldn't be aired to the public to begin with, and especially not sensationalized to this degree. There is zero justification for publicly denouncing someone over a personal disagreement. None. La Luna certainly made mistakes, but did he deserve a ban because of a misunderstanding at worst? Being problematic doesn't justify a ban. Someone who is problematic has done no harm to your community aside from maybe hurting your feelings. And I hate to break it to you, but hurting your feelings isn't a threat to safety. To make myself clear, I'm not against communities banning players from events for posing some sort of danger to them. It's only natural to gatekeep. But the implementation of this list and many local ban lists are incredibly biased. Not just because of political beliefs, but sometimes personal squabbles lead to bans, romantic relationships gone wrong lead to bans, and even saying the wrong opinion on Twitter. That's my issue with the list. Now, I don't actually want to get unbanned. I plan on moving forward with my life. But I do have a proposition for Cact, Greyola, and Last, the 3 TOs who curate this list. Let's consider this a bit of an experiment. I want you to find a single instance of me harassing or deliberately making someone uncomfortable within the Smash community. I'm looking for a specific instance of this happening, not me making a joke. I want you to DM me the evidence you found, and if you can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that it happened, then my ban is justified and you can keep me on the list. That way, you could prove within reason that I actually did pose a threat to the community, and it isn't all because of wrongthink. If you can't find anything, then remove me from the list. And if you don't, despite all of this, then not only is your ban retarded, but your whole database loses credibility, because it shows that your bans are done with poor research and shitty cover-ups. The scenes I was involved in were Georgia, West Virginia, MDVA, and Puerto Rico. The online crews I was in were A&G, Zenith, Ultimate Warriors United, and Harmony of Phantoms. If you have any questions for me, I'll happily provide anything you'll need. Now, the 3 Stooges don't actually have to do this. If they want, they can just go on and call me racist and just move forward. But it speaks a lot to their intentions when they say they want to keep the community safe, but instead ruin the careers of innocent people because of what some chick's Twitlonger said. Now, I don't want any harassment going to any TOs. TOs already go through enough as is. I don't want to make their lives more difficult. But this bias is too much for me to ignore, because as it stands, things are still ridiculously skewed towards the accuser. On that note, if I actually did do something that I can't remember currently and that I haven't already apologized for, I will do so in a future video. You have my word. Not that long ago, I recently became active in the Midnight Sun Discord server. I considered for a bit to play Smash again, and enjoy myself regardless of what people said about me. Midnight Sun is another online crew, by the way. I received an invite not long after the screenshots were posted, and the leader said that he didn't judge people. So I was on the server for a long time, but I never touched it. Turns out the people there are quite nice, and they even took me as one of their own, even though I was also banned from the Smash Crew server. There was a conversation regarding my shitty video. They made it into a command, and made fun of me for a bit. They even gave me a role called CEO of Racism. I didn't really mind. I just don't want the videos to get brought up every time someone talks to me, but it inevitably will. Not much I can do. Regardless, I made this series of posts. Fair enough, but it's in the past, I guess. I'm still banned from like every big tournament, but whatever. I'm still racist, so who's really winning? Of course, this was a joke. A jab at myself over the video and the accusations. Unsurprisingly, someone in the crew screenshotted this and put it up on Twitter. People flooded the replies saying that I'm racist and that I lack self-awareness and all that jazz. But the real kicker was what someone posted in the replies, who posted this screenshot. That finally drove me to make this video. This post right here is taken completely out of context, and it's astonishing to me that he did this despite the fact that not even 10 minutes later, I clarify what I knew. See what I meant about the truth earlier? Either way, it took a while, but I'm finally here. It feels nice to get this all out, like I'm putting it all behind me. There's also this other post in a different Discord in which someone recognizes me, and I post a little meme. Poor guy. He was so close to getting it. It's almost as if they secretly know it's a joke, but continue to suppress that idea in their heads because of the ideology that they adhere to. So instead of that, they say I lack self-awareness, or that I'm stupid, or that I'm taking an L, because those are the only other possible explanations if it wasn't a joke. Ironically, it was them that lacked the critical information about who I am and what I believe. I hope this video helped clear that up for you. At the end of the day, I don't want anyone here getting harassed or to cause some silly argument, even if I did get heated myself. I just wanted to explain myself and have this out there as context. I don't plan on deleting this video, as I believe that it is much better than the original video I made on this topic. The more I thought about the video I originally made, the more I realized it was hasty, poorly thought out, and most of all, made in a fit of panic. And yeah, a lot of those combos weren't very good. They were really shitty. I'm not a very stylish player. I play me gunner. What the fuck do you expect? Feel free to reach out to me on Discord or through the comments. As long as they aren't petty insults, I'll take what you have to say into consideration. And one last thing. This video wasn't made to excuse my actions. There isn't anything to excuse. The people who said that about my last video were pushing their idea of who I am onto me, as they always do with people who they disagree with. And last but not least, have a good day. I love you all. Oh, I forgot to mention this, but I do plan on making more videos in the future. Mainly because I've been suffering from a lack of motivation for years now, and I want to try making videos to see if I can motivate myself to try more things. At the very bottom of the description, there's a poll where you can vote on what topic I should make my next video on. The winner will be the topic of the next video I make. Hopefully my editing skills will have improved by then. And if you're interested, then go ahead and vote. And I feel dirty saying this, but subscribe if you're interested. I'll probably make the videos anyways, because I don't really give a shit, but at least I'll feel happy knowing that I have people on my side. Okay, that's all for real this time. Bye-bye!